Hello and welcome to this session of Global Azure, the event that is by the community for the community, going on nationally and globally with many different user groups. I am Dwayne Natwick, CEO of Captain Hyperscaler, sponsor of this event, as well as a board member on the Give Me Cloud Talks user group, which is acting as the vessel for Global Azure this year, as we have in years past for our user group that really is a global user group based in, most of the board members are based around the Midwest of the United States, but we do, presentations for with global community members as we are for Global Azure again this year. And with me for this session is Sophia, and Sophia is going to give you an introduction to virtualization, which I'm really looking forward to. As we were saying before we started, we get into a lot of these advanced technologies and everything, and kind of forget that we have users and community members from all different levels of technology. So including, I know there's a lot, there's user groups that work with student ambassadors and things like that for Microsoft, and these introduction and foundational sessions are very helpful to take you into those more intermediate and advanced. So thank you, Sophia, for providing this session. And let me get your session live, and I will leave it to you to take it away and provide this informative session. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you for this opportunity. All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Sophia Iroegbu, and I am here to give a talk about introduction to virtualization. I believe that this is a topic that is very important for people that are just getting started with cloud or trying to understand how cloud works. And I personally am just learning, about cloud. So the session is mostly about me sharing my learnings to you. So before we get started, like I said, I'm Sophia Iroegbu. I am a developer advocate. I am a gold Microsoft Student Ambassador. I have been using Python for 3 years now. I really love WSL and I enjoy writing technical articles. So let's get started on virtualization. So in this session, we are going to be discussing about what virtualization is, types of virtualization, the architecture of virtualization, and challenges that are involved in virtualization. This session will not really go in depth, but I hope that it will give you a little bit of it will give you a little bit idea of what virtualization is and its challenges. So first of all, what is virtualization? So virtualization is here I wrote that it's the process of creating a virtual version of a resource or a device. In layman term, it's creating a virtual version of your laptop or your storage for anyone to access it. So in software development, we come across a term where we say that it only works on our machine. So virtualization helps you deploy that project to a global platform or to a global audience, or for it to have a global accessibility. Some examples of virtualization that we will be talking about more in this session is server virtualization, network virtualization, and desktop virtualization. So I made mention of three benefits of virtualization. Number one is cost efficient. So compared to when you have to purchase another PC and set it up just for you to run that project and give that PC to your friend, virtualization creates a cost efficient solution for you to run multiple virtual machines. That's for you to run multiple multiple virtual options of your PC on a single server. Another one is what we call the agile provision. So this is when virtualization makes it faster for you to allocate resources on your virtual machines. So it's going to be faster for you to, run the Linux OS on your virtual machine, for you to run the Windows OS or the Mac OS on that virtual machine. Another one is enhanced security. Thanks to everything being on the cloud, it's going to be more secure, or rather, virtualization gives you a more secure option than when you have that project on your PC and anyone can just log in and steal your project. But when your project is on a virtual machine, it gives it a more secure option or a more secure solution. Now let's talk about types of virtualization. So there are three types of virtualization. Number one is server virtualization. So server virtualization is where you as the developer or you as a cloud engineer, you have the option for you to run multiple operating system on a single machine. What do I mean by this? You have a Windows OS, you want to deploy that project, but you want to deploy it under an Ubuntu operating system, but you don't want to change your Windows OS and you don't want to use WSL. Virtualization helps you to run that Ubuntu operating system on a cloud solution on your laptop. And this also provides a sense of flexibility. Another one is network virtualization. So network virtualization lets you split the resources on your virtual machines into channels. Now, each of these channels are they can work independent of each other, and they work independent of each other on your server. Last but not the least, desktop virtualization. So desktop virtualization is when you have a virtual version of your laptop but on the cloud. So it's where it's where you get to run virtual machines and you get to deliver network from one clients to another client. Next, let's talk about the architecture involved in virtualization. So we have the hypervisor. So this is the software that creates and runs the virtual machines. You cannot do without the hypervisor because it helps you create and manage the virtual machine and also helps you manage the physical hardware that runs that virtual machine. Another one is virtual machine. I've said virtual machine more than 10 times already. And virtual machines are the replicas of your physical machine that lets you run operating system, that lets you run your projects, and lets you run your applications on the cloud. Last but not the least, containers. So containers, they are lightweight and they are portable solution for you to deploy your project or your application. For example, in Docker, when you deploy your project on Docker, you get to deploy them in containers. Now that container is lightweight, is portable, and anyone from anywhere can access that Docker container. Now, these are some popular virtualization platform. We have VMware vSphere, we have the Microsoft Hyper-V, we have Microsoft Azure, we have KVM, we have OpenStack, we have AWS and lots more. But these are just some that I included on my slide. Now let's talk about the use cases of virtualization. Yes, we now know what virtualization is. We now know the benefits. We now know the architecture involved in virtualization. So what are the use cases? So number one, virtualization is the backbone of cloud computing. So it lets developers share the resources between the virtual machines, and helps the developer scale their project or their application. Another tool is data centers. So virtualization optimizes the server, optimizes the cooling, the power consumption in a data center environment. Another one is software development and testing. So virtualization lets you as the developer have an isolated environment where you can deploy your application and manage your infrastructure without having a server, without having a data center, like a physical or a personal data center. Another one is remote work environment. So virtualization helps you. Let's say you are working in a company that everyone you're working in a remote team, and you are contributing to a project. So virtualization helps you make your contribution accessible to your other teammates, by creating that isolated environment where your teammates can check your contribution, and also see if what you did is right. So this helps in supporting remote teamworks. Now let's talk about the challenges of virtualization. Number one, understanding VMs. So most people that are just getting started in, understanding cloud, understanding virtualization, they will struggle a bit in understanding what, sorry, in understanding the use cases of virtual machines. I, for one, I know that I struggled. I'm just, grasping the idea behind virtual machines. So anyone that is new to virtualization would have a bit of a hard time understanding VMs. Another one, managing complexity. So for someone that is already using virtual machines, the more they add virtual machines on their server, that on that their single server, is going to be a bit difficult for them to manage or monitor um, the virtual machine. So this is why I mentioned here that this is why I mentioned complexity here. Another one is resource allocation. So efficient resource usage is one of the primary benefits of virtualization. But when you do not monitor those resource allocations very well, it would lead to your application that has been deployed or that is currently in the cloud. It will cause it to have performance problem. Like let's say you have multiple virtual machines and you do not allocate the resources very well among those virtual machines, it's going to cause performance problem. Last but not the least, data security. Yes, I know that I said that virtualization brings about enhanced security, but in a shared resource environment, your sensitive information that is currently on your virtual machine or your virtual instance may be vulnerable if the third party cloud provider that you are using is corrupted. So yes, it provides enhanced security, but if that third party provider, that third party cloud provider is affected, your data on that virtual instance too may be affected. So that's all. So in conclusion, I hope I've been able to explain what virtualization is and how virtualization can help you collaborate with your teammates, especially in a remote work environment. And for people that are just exploring cloud as a hobby or trying to understand it by deploying their hobby project, virtualization too can help you scale your application and reduce costs. And it can also help you have what you currently have on your machine, that's your to-do list or your readme generator, or that project you have currently on your laptop. It can be accessed by anyone at anywhere, anytime. So yes, there are definitely the downsides to virtualization, but there are also amazing upsides to virtualization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Yes, a very great way to kind of share what you've learned with others. So really appreciate that. And we take for granted, those of us that have been in virtualization for so long, to understand some of those, just kind of those basic things, and how just getting started, it might be a difficult concept to grasp. So I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody. And I hope everybody that tuned into this Global Azure session enjoyed it and learned something. I'm sure that you did, and I'm sure there were some things that Sophie even brought up that you were like, oh yeah, I forgot all about those things. For those of us that have been in virtualization and just kind of take it for granted. So thank you very much, Sophia. I appreciate you reaching out and doing this session for us, for Give Me Cloud Talks and for Global Azure. And for everybody else, enjoy the Global Azure sessions over the course of April 18th, 19th, and 20th. The Gimme Cloud Talks, you can access our sessions through gimmecloudtalks.github.io, as well as get to us through the globalazure.net website. And we will have sessions through this user group on April 18th and April 19th. We don't have any scheduled for the 20th. We just are doing Thursday and Friday, but we have about a dozen sessions, and then there's I think 70, 80 plus communities that are doing sessions globally throughout those 3 days. So you can certainly find multiple sessions and multiple topics for anything that you need, and most of them remain recorded and up on the different user group YouTube channels afterwards as well. So you can go to Captain Hyperscaler's YouTube channel and find these sessions and watch them after as well. So thank you again, Sophia, and I appreciate your time. And thanks to everybody tuning in, and we'll see you at the next session.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.